loud. Wait, too loud. Hey, whoa, welcome to the stream. Hey, is my mic okay? Does it sound okay? Can you hear me? How's the volume on this microphone? I had to fix it. Volume is good? Well then, perfect. Good to see you. Welcome to the Atrioc broadcast here on October 1st. We're in fucking October, folks. We're in October, bro. Where did this year go? Blacker, they have the 19 months. It's the first of them, and it is the first of the month. It's Atrioctober. T-Bone Twitch, they have the 5 gifted. I didn't change the title. Atrioctober. Atrioctober begins. Atrioctober begins. The government shut down. Yes, perfectly. Hello. Good to see. One more title change. I can change titles as much as I want. No, don't. Well, if a streamer can't change their title at a whim, what does this world come to? I should be allowed to have freedom on the fucking title change. Butler, they've been the 36 months. Mr. Grimm, they've the 5 gifties twice. Wait, there's a fucking treasure train. Dan Clancy's involved somehow. There's a fucking Clancyville treasure train going on. C8289 for the 50 gifties. Jesus Christ. I assume Valorant is throwing in some as well. Dirty Dan's involved somehow. Is this a bribe? Am I being bribed by Dirty Dan Clancy to talk about Clancyville in a positive light? Where are all these subs coming from? Thank you very much for the gifties. Appreciate that. Maybe it's the Clancyville government shutdown. They have extra funds. Anyway, thank you for the treasure train. Fowler Kempfer, thank you for the 5 gifted. Zousis, thank you for the 33 months. Kilroy, thank you for the 58. Jesus Christ, been a while, bro. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Izaki, thank you for the 31. I want to XD, thank you for the 7. Big Man, thank you for the 4. All right, guys, I don't have a ton of time today. I really want to talk about the shutdown. The U.S. government actually did shut down. So we got to cover. I'll do a little discussion beforehand, though, on number 1, the drama around Fast 52. I'll say it. I beat Squeaks. And the drama was he's a chunk, dude. I'm sorry. The drama is he's a chunk. He's an EP chunk. And he said he would beat me easily. He said he would crush me. And now I'm sorry, but I had to call it out like it is. I had to put the facts out there. People come to this stream for fact-based reporting. And I have to point out that he got chunked. A chunk got chunked. You really expected to make 30 minutes? Actually, that was an unreal run on my end. I'll tell you that. It was an unreal run on my end. Because our practice runs were more than 30 minutes right before that. Only lands count. That's what I'm saying. All right? It might be 5-1, but who won the road game? Who won on land? Incoming callers in the 10 months. Thank you for the 10 months. I bet on you choking and lost everything. Clutch when it counts, brother. Clutch when it counts. What does a shutdown mean? Will it affect Team Cherry's development cycle? Yeah. Instead of being super fast to release games, they'll take years. So Team Cherry fans are going to be in shambles after this shutdown. They're gonna be collapsing, dude, because like they're used to a pretty quick turnaround. I love when Squeaks had his mic muted and was trying to crack jokes no one can hear. Dude, I love when Ludwig said, "Hey, round of applause for Squeaks," and the crowd was dead silent. That shit was funny, dude. That was a fun race, I'll tell you that. It's a lot more fun when you win. That's the facts. Hello. I'm happy to see you. I'm going to be talking about the government shutdown here in a second. Can you explain your presentation to Steve Eisman? I didn't understand half of it. Yes, but not today. I'm going to be making a video called The Bigger Short where I really go into detail and I showcase clips from interviews with risk officers at banks that I talk to. But I will not be doing that live as a clip. That's going to be an actual full video. But if you enjoyed the presentation, I thought it was pretty good. I highly recommend checking it out. I really like that discussion. What about the gold presentation? Well, that was a little easier to understand, I think, wouldn't you say? Hey, Big A. A few months ago, I requested you play Hollow Knight Silksong, and it seems... I'm sorry. You think I played it because of you? It seems like you took me up on my request, and I'm confused as to where my check is. Two things for that. I did not play Hollow Knight Silksong because of your request. And secondly, even if I did, I don't owe you a check. If you go in a streamer's chat and you say, play this game, and they play it, it's not like they owe you a check. That is not how the system works, bro. You don't get paid for suggesting a game. Otherwise, the meta would be to come into every streamer's chat at all times and suggest every game. And that way they can't play anything unless they pay you. Do you understand? Do you understand how that would be? It would be a broken meta. I would just go into double if stream and say play League of Legends. And then when he wants to make any money, he has to give it to me. Infinite money. Isn't that guy who told you about Hollow Knight too? No. Somebody did tell me about Hollow Knight back in the day. I don't know who it was. It was years and years ago, but someone did convince me in chat to play Hollow Knight because I wouldn't have played it without them. And they sent me on a really glorious journey that ends with me loving Silksong and having Silksong plushies and yada, 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 yada. So whoever it was, kudos to them, but it wasn't you. Wow. Insane treasure train. I feel like I'm a fucking Caribbean pirate with this amount of... I have 95 gifted subs and 700 bits. I need to bury it in the sand. Rick Top, they get the tier 1. Car Juggernaut, they have the 29 months. Thank you very much. Slong Banger, they give it the 6 months. Streak, unpopular opinion, JFK didn't get shot. His head just did that. That is an unpopular opinion. Because... well, okay, I could see that being true, right? I could totally see that being true. But you probably agree with me that the CIA was trying to kill him. They just got lucky that his head also had a defect. Like they kept missing their shots. And then luckily at the exact same time his head exploded and they go, phew. Well, that was... Big A, the government shut down. Why are you working today? Yeah. I think I'm paid by the government. I'm actually paid. If the Clancyville government shut down, I'd be in trouble. If the Clancyville government shut down, my checks would stop cashing. But they're independent. The city might cover some American territory, but Dan Clancy does not respond to federal laws. Oh, I did hear about Turd Gobbler making an apology video on the Reddit. I can't watch it today, but I will watch it tomorrow and we'll decide up or down if Turd Gobbler gets to return to chat. I did hear about this. The Reddit apparently has a couple posts I have to check. Okay? I wish they would change their name from Turd Gobbler. We don't need to free the turd. But this person did put the effort in. Silksong all day. Well, probably not today. So just adds up. I have to go to a triple date tonight, which is why I'm live a little early. I would like to record a video about the shutdown, and then I have to go to a triple date where I'm seeing that Leonardo DiCaprio movie. After which, after I get home, I might play a little Silksong. I might do that. That's correct. A triple mandate. Yeah, I'm like Jerome Powell in the future. Triple date, that's just a gathering? No, because it's 3 couples. If it's 3 couples, it's a triple date. That's. Oh, wait. Okay, one more drama from Fast 52. One more drama that I have to talk about. Did someone have the clip? Just small ant clip. This is true. Oh, if somebody has it. Wait.
I have a.
Is this it?
I was talking to
Yeah,
Atrioc
okay.
about Silksong
Drama.
at Fast 52,
Drama.
and he had said, "Oh yeah, I just finished up all the Act 2 stuff and killed Grandmother Silk." And I was like, "Oh, nice. Yeah, after I finished Act 3, I've been starting to doing the speedrun achievements." And then when I said that, I saw him flinch a little bit. Like it was like a. And I realized I'd misheard him. I realized he said, "I'm finishing up Act 2. I just killed Grandmother Silk." He didn't know there was an Act 3.
Fucking spoilers! Fucking spoilers, dude! And the second he said it, I go, what? There's an Act 3? And, and then I swear to God, is he going to say this?
I felt so bad. I tried to save it, but he's too smart.
First of all, true.
I mean, I'm a terrible liar with that.
He's a terrible liar. That's what I want to say. I want to be so clear. He tried so hard to pretend like he didn't say Act 3 to my face. He was like, he wasn't even joking. He wasn't smiling. He was like, no, sorry, what? It's like, no, I'm saying. I said, no, he was like, I'm not kidding. He was like trying to hard commit to not spoiling. I forget exactly what he said. He's just like, yeah, so like, yeah, the end of Act 2 is pretty cool. And I was like, you just said Act 3. And he's like, no, I think there's a misunderstanding. I was, but I was laughing. I'm laughing at his face. I'm like, bro, what are you doing here? And he's like, I feel like you're confused. He really committed. I can't overemphasize how strongly he committed to trying to gaslight the spoiler away, which I respect. He didn't like laugh and go like, you got me. He like hard committed, which is impressive, but it did not fool me. It was like so obvious what he had just said. I said Act Tree because I hate trees. He did try to send it. Anyway, it was very fun chatting with Smollett, but he did spoil there's an Act 3 to me. So I don't know. We got to figure that out. We got to figure that out. Clearly much more Silksong to play. I did play offline, not very much, just a little bit. Mainly I farmed some rosaries and I killed Grandmother Silk probably 15 times, and I did it with every crest. I am such a god home grinder, dude. That's just how I like to play. I like to have like a podcast on. I open up a boss and I just fight it while I listen. That's exactly what I love to do. So I've beaten it with every crest now. I tried some different tools. I've been messing around. I've been getting my combat down. Really, 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 really hope there's like a Pantheon or something, because that shit's fun AF. What podcast was it? It was called Lemonade Stand, the greatest podcast on the internet. I listen to it every fucking week on loop, every day, full retention, full watch time till the next one. And that way I feel like I'm helping out a really valuable business enterprise. Speaking of ads, last thing, and then I'm gonna do a presentation here because I have to go actually help listen. The market cap. Okay? The market cap in green, blue, and black is available today for a limited time. The market cap, all right? If you wear this hat and you were broken out into your own company, you would be bigger than Nike. That is a fact. All right? your net worth will reach billions. So, highly recommend checking this out on failedcodes.co. In fact, I'm going to wear it for this presentation. So, it's P clean. Thanks, Zinja. I appreciate that. Zinja, do you mind if I pay you in market cap caps instead of money for editing? Please. Yeah, do you have any leftover Sigma tanks? Oh, now he's getting fucking greedy. No deal. No fucking deal. You can't have a rare Sigma tank just for editing, okay? The greed. The fucking greed. This is why we always side with the employer on this broadcast, okay? Because the employees are greedy. Uh-huh. They always want, like, wages and shit. They always want, like, to be compensated for their work. I don't fucking get it. I don't fucking understand it. Big A, do you have the Einstein files? It's like the Epstein files, but it's just like physics papers no one understands. They don't want to release them because nobody else can explain them. Guys, I don't have a lot of time here. I would like to talk to you about today's government shutdown very quickly, okay? Listen. Not a major presentation here. We just need to talk about it. Today at 12:01 a.m., the government is now closed for business. The Senate was unable to reach an agreement on our spending, and so the government has officially shut down. And of course, based on our long and storied Revolutionary War history, who was happier but the British?
Hello, I'm Sally Bundock. We begin.
Look at her. She's practically grinning. She's so pleased to announce the U.S. government shutdown.
Hello, I'm Sally Bundock. We begin the program with breaking news. The U.S. government has shut down for the first time in 6 years after lawmakers failed to reach an agreement on extending federal spending.
Yes, in the first time in 6 years, we have an actual government shutdown. Again, these are relatively rare, that they've become more and more common as our government has gotten more and more partisan, more divided, more unable to reach an agreement on anything really, but especially budgets. 6 years ago was Trump, by the way, which was the last time we had a government shutdown. Though we did have one under Obama that was slightly shorter. The longest one ever is the one in 2018-19, 35 days under Trump. We'll see how long this new one lasts. But in the meantime, the government is closed for business starting today. Now, what does that mean? The main impact is all the workers that will be furloughed, okay? That's include 89% of the Environmental Protection Agency, 87% of our Education Department, 81% of our Commerce Department, 76% of our Labor Department, 71% of our Housing and Urban Development, 59% of our Energy Department, 49% of our Agriculture Department. All these employees will be furloughed. If you're like me, not like me, really, I did know this, but if you're like most Americans who Googled the term furlough today after it spiked off the chart, it just means laid off temporarily. It means that you are unpaid and not working and you can come back whenever they figure this shit out. That's the idea. That is the idea of a furlough. And the numbers are pretty stark. 750,000, 750,000 federal workers could be furloughed in the next few days or weeks or so as the government is shut down. People are saying vacation, but there's a little bit more to the story. Now, again, this is pretty crazy because this is what our government runs on, a lot of this stuff. Now, the very essential stuff does remain working, but even that has caveats. So let me explain. For example, if you're going traveling, you might notice longer lines at the airport, facilities closures at national parks, and of course, losses in tourism revenue. This is because not only are a lot of employees in the FAA getting furloughed, or the TSA, but the ones that still have to work aren't getting paid. That means if you are traveling anytime soon, it will be with air traffic controllers that are working unpaid. TSA agents working unpaid. We have people working for nothing and people who are just not able to work at all. So it's going to be pretty strained, the services of government, until this is figured out. Now, at a high level, here's what's happening. Our government every year is supposed to pass a budget that decides what we are going to do and what we're going to spend money on. Maybe some of that money goes to air traffic controllers, right? We have gotten so unable to pass a budget on time that for decades now, we have resorted to a thing called a continuing resolution. This is basically like a short-term Band-Aid that says, okay, if we can't figure out a new budget, we'll use last year's budget until we can figure it out for a few weeks. Okay? So the last time we actually passed a budget on time was 1997. And then every year since then, we sort of kicked the bucket into the middle of the year, sometimes throughout the whole year. Okay? So now in 2025, we've gotten to the point where we've done a continuing resolution the entire previous year. We have not gotten anywhere closer to passing a new budget. And so this time, when they decided to kick the can one more time, finally the vote did not pass. Finally, we're not able to pass a continuing resolution keeping the old budget. And there's a reason for that, and I'm going to explain it. And it comes down to the difference between Republicans and Democrats on what they want out of this continuing resolution, keeping the budget, okay? Here's the deal. This is how everybody voted. As you'll notice, most of the Republicans voted to keep the continuing resolution and keep the government funded. Most of the Democrats voted against it to break it. And why do they choose now, and why is this happening? I'm going to explain. There were a couple partisan flippers here, okay? For example, Catherine Masto from Nevada said President Trump and congressional Republicans are already hurting Nevadans who are dealing with high costs and economic slowdown and a looming healthcare crisis. She said the costly showdown would hand even more power to this reckless administration. Maybe. On the other side, Rand Paul, who voted against the continuing resolution, said the spending levels don't balance the budget and don't come anywhere close. So he flipped. So those are the people that are kind of outliers, but I'm going to give you the main reason. The main issue that is causing this shutdown now is, as always, healthcare. One of the greatest bipartisan, or not bipartisan, divides in American history. Obamacare, okay? ACA. So the simple way to put it is this. We have the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. It covers like 24 million Americans. And a few years back, we added subsidies that helped make the cost lower for these Americans, okay? These subsidies are going to expire in 2026. So the Republicans would like to pass a, call it clean continuing resolution, where we keep last year's budget, but do not include these things that expire. The Democrats would like to keep last year's budget, but continue to include these things that expire. That's the idea. So it's a holdout over whether or not we keep these expiring subsidies for people on Affordable Care Act. That is the showdown. Okay, whether or not we keep that in 26 or we don't. Okay, the ACA tax credits. This is the censor of the government shutdown fight. Now, the numbers I said are real. 24.3 million Americans are currently enrolled in the ACA, and about almost all of them use these subsidies. Okay, almost all of them use these subsidies, and if they are removed, then their healthcare costs would double to an average of $1,900 from $888. Okay, so the people on it very much would like the government to keep the costs of their healthcare lower and keep things going as they are. Republicans like let those expire. That is the situation we find ourselves in. Also, additionally, if these things expire, 4.2 million more Americans will become uninsured, which again, in America is kind of a hard thing to be. It is very hard to be a person working a regular job who has enrolled for the ACA and then loses your insurance and you can't get it. Very expensive, it turns out. Okay? So that's like the boring nitty gritty of the procedure as to why they cannot agree on this vote. Again, this vote is important because while the Democrats do not control the House or the Senate or the judiciary or the presidency, Republicans have complete control of the government in all aspects. This does require 60 votes to pass the continuing resolution and keep our budget going the same as last year. We need 60 votes. Can anybody find 60 votes on their side? It's very difficult. So there's no way to do it with just one party. You need to have a bipartisan thing, which is nearly impossible in America. Normally, the consequences of a government shutdown are so bad that somebody somewhere caves and gives in. But times are a-changing. Both parties think that the public will blame the other party more. That's the core of it. Because it's so politically unpopular to be blamed for a shutdown, most of the time someone always gives in. But right now, nobody's giving in because both sides think it's worse for the other side. So there's a lot of tactics going around. You know, on the Democratic side, Chuck Schumer's trying to, for once in his life, appear somewhat tough, which is a hard look for him, as you can see here.
Hakeem and I sent a letter in late July. We demanded, actually.
You can hear him realizing that I sent a letter sounds very passive. I sent a strongly worded letter. So he changed it to
Hakeem and I sent a letter in late July. We demanded, actually, to them. We demanded that they sit down with us because we needed to work this out.
Okay, but I will say the polling is slightly different. So in previous government shutdowns, like in 2013, Democratic voters strongly favored just compromising with the other side and making sure the shutdown goes on. Now it's much closer. Now a lot of voters would like them to stand on principle and fight for something. There's a lot of push from Democratic voters to be like, show some kind of spine, you're getting rolled over completely. They control all branches of the government and they're just shoving through their agenda. So it's a little bit different this time around. On the other side, the Republicans, which again control these branches of government, are doing everything they can to push their message through these branches of government. So, for example, Republicans, because they control government, control the Small Business Administration. And they sent this to small businesses in America that receive government funding and said, make your out of office message this. I am out of office for the foreseeable future because Senate Democrats voted to block a clean federal funding bill leading to a government. They're like making it part of the government. In fact, if you go to the Housing and Urban Development website right now, they put a giant red banner on it saying the radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on the American people unless they get their 1.5 trillion wish list of demands, which again is just to continue the current healthcare system. So it's getting pretty crazy all around. Now, listen, it might be tough to decide. Again, I'd say the average American, well, maybe they're leaning one way or another right now, but I'd say the average American is polling extremely low on Congress as a whole. It's one of the most disliked institutions in all of government. People are very upset with our inability to get anything done. And in these type of situations, who should we blame? How should we figure it out? Well, we can ask someone about that. Donald Trump in 2013.
First question, Donald, we're having a hell of a time trying to negotiate here in Washington. So tell me, if you were president, what would you do?
Well, very simply, you have to get everybody in a room. You have to be a leader. The president has to lead.
Okay. But who do you blame, Donald?
I hear the Democrats are going to be blamed and the Republicans are going to be blamed. I actually think the president would be blamed. If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the president of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together.
They're not going to be talking who the head of the House was, the head of the Senate, who's running things in Washington. So I really think the pressure is on the president.
I would have to agree. But while this is happening, the president is tweeting out fake AI generated videos of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries saying nobody will vote for us because we want the woke. Of them like wearing a sombrero. So it's not seeming likely that anyone can actually get in the room and get this figured out. So buckle up, America. It feels like we're in for a long government shutdown. Now, I don't know. In the past, the pressure of this shutdown is so massive and it's so bad for keeping things running. And both parties receive such negative feedback, they usually do figure it out. But if it drags on, because we are in unprecedented times, there is literally no incentive for anybody to go across the aisle and be bipartisan on anything. Everybody just plays to their base and tries to wait it out. So I really don't know how this one's going to play out. We could be in for a longer shutdown than we expect. And that can have problems. Again, Donald Trump is saying,
we're doing well as a country, so the last thing we want to do is shut it down. But a lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things, but they want open borders. They want men playing in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. They never stop. They don't learn. We won an election in a landslide. They just don't learn. So we have no choice. I have to do that for the country.
He's doing it for the country because the Democrats want transgender for everything. So we have to fire 750,000 people. And some of them he is threatening to make permanent. Again, as you read here, he is saying there's some Democrat things that during the shutdown we'll be able to get rid of, which is leading to some pretty big lawsuits from major unions that he has threatened to have mass layoffs during the shutdown. Which, all this is problematic because it's coming at the same time as we are seeing worse and worse actual job numbers. In fact, government jobs has been one of the few things keeping the jobs numbers up. Government jobs are like the last bastion of job growth. And I want to be very specific about this. So it's going to be hard for us to see the impact of this because the institution that makes the jobs numbers, the BLS, is now shut down. They were supposed to release jobs numbers this Friday. They cannot do it. They will not be doing that. So we are not going to know how the jobs data is going during this government shutdown. However, the ADP jobs numbers, which are private sector, did come out today, and they were horrendous. Okay? It was expected, it was estimated they would grow 50,000 jobs. Instead, we lost 32,000 jobs, an 82,000 job swing. This is not a good direction. This is not a good direction. This is flashing red. At the same time, this is before a government shutdown, which could lead to 750,000 people not getting paid, which means not spending, which means more jobs lost in the economy. Now, there are a few things still open. Again, air traffic controllers will still be required to work. Some parts of the military are still active. Some parts of the functioning part of government are still going. Oh, for example, you still have to pay your student loans, but your FAFSA associate that can answer questions about your student loans is not going to be available. So all the payments are still due, but the people you can talk to get it figured out are not. One thing that I thought was very interesting is that the FTC's antitrust division is shut down, as in they can no longer sue to block mergers. In fact, the one major merger case they have is being shut down. However, the part of the FTC that approves mergers is staying open. So, I'm not kidding. Right now, companies are rushing to file their merger requests so they can force it through when there is absolutely no chance it can get blocked, but a very high chance it can get approved. It's open season, baby. It's open season. What an interesting time. Now, look, I really want to go back to this chart real quick and just say, look, I've been very extremely critical the Trump administration thus far. I found like this constant chaos is just leading to worse outcomes in our regular life. And I think at the end of the day, continuing the ACA subsidies makes perfect sense. It's fine. But on a broader macro level, the fact that, you know, a year when I was a child, 1997, is the last time we were able to pass a budget on time is fucking crazy. And I think what I'm seeing with this shutdown is that we are, you know, we're through the looking glass on government even pretending to be somewhat effective. Many people in this chat were born after 97, which means their entire lives, our government hasn't even been remotely on time or effective with planning to decide what they're going to spend on for the year. Not only are our budgets massively bloated, massively filled with deficit spending, massively borrowing from the future, but we can't even agree. We can't even vote to agree on anything. And we're getting slower and slower and slower at responding to the real problems that are coming up. I find it to be frankly disgusting. I understand why this shutdown is happening, and I understand. I feel sick with both sides on this one, even though I'm madder at Trump. Just because I find it to be unconscionable that we have to put up with this fucking terrible Congress. This horrendous, useless, incompetent Congress for years and years and years, and the real problems are only getting more severe. It's so frustrating. It's so mind-boggling, dude. This is real people's jobs, real people's lives, real people's economy that are getting worse in front of us. And everyone is just fighting on TV and making stupid social media posts for this news cycle that has real impact. I hope this gets figured out, and I hope this shutdown ends. And but I hope more that we understand that this is like the end of democracy, bro. People are finding that, like, we read a book recently, Doug Aiden and I, called Breakneck. It was about some of the differences between China and America. And it was a very neutral book. It talked about some really bad stuff in China, some good stuff in China, some bad stuff in America, some good stuff in America. But one thing it made clear is like, over the past 30, 40 years, America has been unable to do anything big. We have no big projects. We can't pass anything. We've gotten completely gridlocked. Everything is blocked. And so even if you really disagree with the authoritarian regime of China, which I do, okay, but they at least can move, they can build something. They can build high-speed rail. They can make progress. And over time, that makes it harder to justify why you support this system if people can't figure out how to make it work for the regular person. It's just something I've been thinking about more lately. And this kind of this is so cartoonish. The way this whole thing is played out is so cartoonish that it's just got me thinking of how, I don't know, morose I am about it. But I would love to end on a happy note, but I have to go. There's my wife, and I have to go to a triple date. So, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we get this shit figured out, man. It's crazy. I would like to live in an America that broadly gets stuff done. Thanks for watching, guys. I will be back later tonight to play some Silk Song, but short stream today because I have this triple date. Thanks. Goodbye.